Welcome to the Judgment Free Zone. You've downloaded the Alcohol-Free Marriage Podcast, episode number 5 from May 2nd, 2022.
Now adjust the volume control so that the sound can be heard in all parts of the room.
Recorded live from the cornfields of Central Illinois, you're listening to the Alcohol-Free Marriage Podcast with Matt and Amy. Come and learn and share a journey with two former craft beer enthusiasts who went from daily drinkers to teetotalers and basically never lost their love for their life together.
Hey, a freak show!
Oh, well, hello, children. Welcome back to the Alcohol-Free Marriage Podcast. That is your freak show in the cornfields of Central Illinois. I am Matt with the always lovely Coach Amy. How are you, my love?
I'm great.
You're great. Here you
know
are.
what?
What?
Happy anniversary. I got to say it first.
What anniversary is that? Oh, like our dating anniversary?
We've been dating officially today for 25 years.
I kind of thought you quit counting those after about, I don't know, once you got married.
Well, this isn't my counting. This is your slogan or whatever you always would say. I've dated you longer than anybody I've ever dated before.
You're the longest I've ever dated anybody. 25, a quarter century to those of you doing the math.
A quarter of a century.
That's a long time.
It is a long time.
You want to feel old, date somebody for a quarter century. Or be married to him for almost a quarter century. That'll be coming up here in a couple of years. But this is not the I Married Your Mother podcast. This is the Alcohol-Free Marriage podcast. Which Amy's quickly realized that since we've gone to the YouTubes and the videos that you can watch on YouTube, if you go to afmpodcast.com, you can find a link to the YouTubes. She has to do her makeup. Because before we just podcasted, like, didn't matter if you're in her pajamas. It's like, crap. Like, I had to put on real pants, and I don't have to do my hair or my makeup, but you have to do your makeup. It's a whole thing. It's a whole production.
A thing. But let's be honest. I usually put on my makeup. Even years ago. And we used to podcast in the evening.
We used to podcast. Well, still in the basement. Why do we always podcast in the basement? I don't know. Guess it's just like our place.
Maybe people don't know it, but maybe we're really vampires.
Maybe we
well,
are.
And if you look at your skin, you could be.
Seriously? I don't think we're going to make that 26-year dating anniversary.
Sorry. I love you. I really do. But that was funny. And I am really just, I don't know, a lot of energy today. I don't know why.
She's on that second cup of coffee, I fear.
No, I'm not. This is still number one.
Wow.
This is just me.
Well, and Amy, we had some feedback. A friend, Heather, who used to comment on the old Red Boy podcast, commented on the YouTube's video, saying basically more or less she wished she drank significantly more so then she could have you coach her, but she really doesn't drink as it is. So she's like, doesn't even really cut back based on the amount she shared that she does drink. So,
but isn't that good though?
That is good.
And I think it's awesome that
she has your phone number. She's still welcome to call and just say hello, I guess.
No, but it's also awesome that she's listening.
Even though,
so we're not just for people who are, wanting to live alcohol free
or trying to quit.
You know what? We're just trying to be examples that there is another way.
There is another way.
There is another way.
And that way is via the drink of the week, Amy. What you probably don't have your drink of the week planned, but I plan my drink of the week because I prepare for the podcast like that. My drink of the week, brought to you by my friends at Delta Airlines, who carry this in their lounges across at least the places I flew, is Sam Adams Nothing But the Haze.
Interesting.
I would call it a juicy IPA. It's fairly fruity, but it's very IPA-y. Of course, it's Sam Adams, so it's a real
IPA-y.
IEE. But no, I was traveling, and the Delta lounges is mainly people there to drink. But I'm like, I assume I was gonna have a pop, whatever, that's fine. And I said, non-alcoholic? She goes, well, we have this. I said, well, I'll have that. And then the next lounge, I said, I didn't know if they had it. So I said, I'll have one of the Sam Adams, Nothing But the Haze. And the gal goes, you do realize it's just the haze, right?
That's funny.
I said, yes, I do realize.
Because I've had plenty of the rest of it over the years. I'll take just the haze.
It was just the haze. Yeah.
That's actually kind of fun.
But
that could be a name of a podcast, Just the Haze.
But we'll get to more of my drinking, traveling, or not drinking, traveling here in a little bit. Amy, what's your drink of the week? Did you plan one other than coffee?
Well, I have coffee, but Friday, my end of work week celebration drink was Toast.
Toast. Not toast like you put in your toaster, bread toast.
Tost.
Oh, I thought it was actually spelled like toast.
No, it has the little, what is it, the little umlauts over the O?
Oh, and it comes in 2 flavors, I think, right?
Yeah, it comes in rosé, and then the one I drink all the time, what is it?
Not rosé.
I don't know. It's a sparkling tea, and it's
very sparkling,
it's
super effervescent.
Very, very fun because when you open it up, I mean, it's like almost like champagne.
Oh yeah.
Which is kind of annoying because I'm one of these people who I don't want to see like all that stuff come off the side because I'm like, wait a minute, I can put that in my glass. Stop.
I want the bubbles in my glass, not on the, the sink.
But it's really, really good. It's a lot of fun. I love to put it into champagne flutes or just a flute now.
A flute.
But it is, and it's really good. I don't know, it's fun.
Here in the cornfields, we find that at the Hy-Vee and what's the other? Benny's Beverage Depot.
Yes, we can find it there.
Yeah, I think
maybe
wine. What's that wine?
Does Jewel have it now?
I don't know.
They might have it.
I don't know. Hy-Vee just.
But it is really it's very good.
Here in the cornfields, Hy-Vee and
Benny's
are the 2 biggest. Best
Hy-Vee
places.
is once again. It's amazing how.
Yes. They even started carrying the non-alcoholic pre-mixed cocktails in the can.
Yeah,
which aren't cheap, but if you're going like on a boat or a trip or something and want to throw in a cooler, they would be perfectly good for that. So
I mean,
I'll probably take some down to the lake
they are listening. There's clearly a market because 2 years ago when we started shopping there, they had like one little shelf and maybe. I don't know. Maybe a few. Maybe like in the beer cooler, they had a shelf.
Yeah.
And then out in the wine area, I guess, they had maybe 4 selections. Yeah. So in the last 2 years, it is really, really.
Now they like 4. Now it's not wide, but 4 shelves of wine and spirits, and 2 huge shelves in the cooler, like 2 columns. I guess it'd be like it must be 8-10 shelves of beer.
So
another accoutrement like hot water and whatnot.
Since we're talking about this, I'm just going to let you know we're going to take number 5 and make it number 4 real quick.
Okay.
Because my tactic of the week is something that helped you and I.
Shopping at Hy-Vee.
Yes.
Hy-Vee, you will be getting a bill for your sponsorship. Thank you very much.
Well, the reason that we're going into the warmer weather. And that was always a huge trigger for me and you because we wanted to go out and...
Patio life, lake
life. Let's go out and everything. So this tactic is one that literally got me through probably the first 6 months of not drinking. And it was keep the ingredients, but keep the ritual and replace the ingredients.
There you go.
And I know that a lot of people or some people, they're like, no, you can't do that. Like, like the mocktails and that. Okay, let me first off say what my mocktail was in the beginning. It was bubbly water. And I think I would do like a little those shrubs, which I guess we could look that up because I still like those. Then you'd put a little bit, which is basically it's an apple cider vinegar, and you would put that in there, and I would mull up some blueberries and some mint.
It was more about the ritual of making the drink.
It was fun. So it was just this fun. It was a little activity for me to get my mind distracted. Instead of just mindlessly pouring myself a glass of wine or grabbing a beer, I would sit there and do this little ritual of making myself this fun little festive drink. And then I would go out on the patio and enjoy the evening with you. And it really, really helped because then I could actually focus what I really wanted. And I really wanted to relax, and I really wanted to enjoy being outside with you. And so that is
So yeah,
my
you had the
tactic.
ritual of making the drink, and you could argue maybe that. I guess that was technically a mocktail. I think people really get into the triggering thing when they talk about like the
Okay.
beers and those type of things.
My mocktail now, honestly, would be me having a bubbly water, because now I guess I'm lazy
Now
and
you
I'm
just-
like, I don't care about the
whatever, yeah.
fruit, whatever. Let me just have a bubbly water. You know what? I know exactly what I want to do. I want to go out, and I know that real relaxation for me is to go outside and to sit with you
Right.
and in nature and enjoy a backyard that usually looks incredibly beautiful by this time of the year.
But that's a whole. That's
But
the backyard
weather,
podcast.
so we won't talk about that right now. But that is one of the things that really, really helped me.
I would agree.
And you.
Yeah.
I think it helped you as well.
Yeah. The non-alcoholic beers and the whatnots. I mean, I not the cocktail side as much, but a little bit. But yeah, I didn't find the NA beers triggering or anything. I think some people do, and that if that's the case, I mean, this is definitely every person's journey. So what
there's
worked for
not-
me might not work for you, and vice
There's
versa.
not one way.
No. But if you're looking for a way to kind of keep that ritual of, a 5 o'clock beer, which I was very into that 5 o'clock cocktail mode. So having something to kind of, and over time, I think when I started, I was probably still drinking a lot of NA beer, which is like, well, why? There's no point. But anyway, it helped my mental side. Now I drink maybe one.
And I absolutely hate that.
What?
But why? Well, because I don't want to take a drug. That's why.
No, I was
because
saying
you're
why
like,
drink
oh.
4 non-alcoholic beers.
But I mean, but why? Like,
Oh.
I'm sorry, I'm going on the but why of.
Were you having your own conversation in your own head that we all were privy to? Why, Amy?
You're quite used to this. I'm sorry, everybody. This is how my brain works. No, but the whole, that's another thing that people will say. Well, why would you drink an NA drink? Why? What's the point of that? Well, the point of that is that I don't want to have a hangover and have anxiety.
And I want an
the next
adult
day.
type
Yes.
beverage, and I like to.
I don't want a Shirley Temple.
And I have no problem
Except
drinking
I
an
do
NA
like
beer.
them.
Well, that's true. I do too. It's basically cherry Sprite. Cherry Sprite for the win. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy, like, if I'm out, to be able to have like an NA beer. At least, I think in my head, probably it makes me feel like I fit in.
You're included,
I feel like I'm included in the ritual again.
and you're included,
Versus,
and you're
hi,
not.
you're all
sticking
drinking
out,
beer, and
like,
I have my pop or my
Yeah.
water, or then you
and then it's always oh, poor you.
Yeah, I know.
You can't have a drink.
yeah,
No, I can have a drink whenever I want.
exactly. And we'll get into that too. Not that I had a drink.
Okay,
but-
well that was my tactic.
Well, thank you, Amy, for jumping ahead in the notes. But to back up in the notes, back to where we were supposed to be, it is time for Booze News of the Week. And the volume button moved on me, so that's why that might have been a little loud for too long. I decided to stretch out this window, and all of a sudden my buttons are into a spot. But anyway, speaking of changing the order, Amy, I'm going to change the order of the Booze News. The first one, Hope Solo, who's a soccer player, is voluntarily entering a inpatient alcohol rehab after her March arrest. The soccer player, age 40, was arrested in North Carolina late last month after allegedly driving while intoxicated with her children in the car. Now, before you judge too hard, I think ourselves and others listening probably are in that same boat of maybe having a drink or two and driving the children, and probably shouldn't have, but you do, and it just becomes something you keep doing. But something I didn't realize, and I don't know if this is a thing in Illinois, she was charged with driving while intoxicated, obviously, but also charged with misdemeanor child abuse and then resisting arrest, which is something else. But I didn't realize it. Makes sense that she can be charged with child abuse too.
I'm pretty sure that is. It's because it's child endangerment.
Yeah, at least child endangerment. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, when I read that, I'm glad that she is voluntarily going to do this. I've read a little bit about her past, but
she's right in that sweet spot, that mommy wine culture sweet spot.
I totally can see how that can happen, and you just don't know, and you don't realize. And if you do realize, you're in denial, and you just,
Denial ain't just a river in Egypt, kids.
it I
you don't
would definitely be one of those people like, oh my gosh, I would have never done that. Yeah, I would say that, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that there were times. I probably shouldn't,
but I'm fine. I mean, that's probably the conversation you have in your head, right? Yeah.
And so my heart goes out to her because.
Or I'm not fine, but crap, I have to go get the kids, so let's pretend like I'm fine and go get them, and
Oh yeah, I can remember. This is awful. This is awful to say. I remember before going and picking up Luke, going out and having one. Before we would go get him.
Yep.
And that wasn't the norm, but still. I mean,
theoretically one's okay, but I don't think.
I'm hoping that she's going to get in there, and I hope somebody will send her Annie's book. I think that would be, that's the one thing. I mean, I'm sure she's going to. Who knows? But I know that many of the courts will be like, okay, now you've got to go in, into either you're in this treatment program, and how is that going to work? Because so many people after they get out of the treatment program, a few hours later, are back at the bar or back at drinking. And so
I don't say fault the program. I just say, not every program's for everybody. So I can't, I wouldn't expect every program to work for every person who goes into it, because it's maybe not the method that will work for them. Yeah.
So my heart goes out to her. And
I really want to know what she did to get the resisting arrest. I don't know. Sometimes you got to do a lot. Sometimes you got to do a little.
You know what? I don't know, but I'm praying that she's going to come out of this and she's going to use her story to help other people.
That's true. And the other piece of booze news, which plays right into the next topic too, American Airlines flight attendants are asking for a 2-drink alcohol limit in economy. Interesting, that's only economy. But anyway, apparently it's economy folk drink more than the first class folk. American Airlines has a plan to phase in alcoholic beverages to economy class with potential new limitations. In a first-of-its-kind policy, the airline's flight attendants union is requesting American implement a 2-drink maximum for all economy passengers. So, and there's some back and forth about it, because a lot of people get on the plane who are already intoxicated. So it wasn't drinking on the plane that was the problem. I think what throws me is why we keep saying economy class 2-drink.
In my opinion, if you're going to do this, it needs to be for the whole plane.
Yeah, why?
Because I'm sorry, people who are in economy class are the people who can't control their drinking versus the people in first class. Because I've seen a lot of belligerent first class.
And this,
I guess passengers as well.
And I prior to quitting, drinking was a way to
pass the time.
Well, pass the time, yes, pass the time in the airport. That is definitely one thing, as well as help with some of that flying anxiety thing too. But I mean, they kind of play into each other and against each other, for that matter. So I get that, but especially domestic flights, a lot of them are 2-ish hours. I mean, some coast to coast are longer, but a couple hours. Do you need more than a couple drinks, regardless of what class you're sitting in? I think maybe they're saying economy because when you get into first class, it's probably harder to say you're going to pay a premium and we're going to put restrictions on you. I guess I don't know why it's.
I think that's BS. I call BS on all of this.
I don't know this. I'd like to see some stats. Like, are the majority of troublemakers come from economy class? Here's the thing: majority airplane is economy, or considered. it's not first class. So maybe statistically there's more of them, so more of them would be the problem makers. But I think limiting it is.
I think eliminating it. Let's think about going. Not everybody maybe, but I have seen plenty of people in the airport who are in the airport bar who I am like, oh man, I hope they're not on my flight, because guess what? They're either going to get sick. Who knows what's going to happen because of the amount that has been consumed.
In the airport, well, first off, on my flights this past week, economy couldn't even get alcohol, only first class and Delta Comfort. But I don't know if that's not necessarily related to this story as much as I don't think they're still taking credit cards on the flight and those classes get free alcohol and the economy doesn't. So I think that's why that is. But in the airport bars, they are really big, like about big beers. But more than once, I've been asked if I wanted a shot with my beer, or do I want to make my cocktail a double for like $3 more or whatever, So very often it's like they're pushing extra alcohol to people in the airport, which part of it is probably because it
costs more and they can get a bigger tip.
Well, and they also know their clientele, and they're like, oh, this group probably will, you get people at the airport bar really early, but I wasn't there that early back in the day, but sorry. So when I was traveling, I was in the Delta Lounge enjoying my Sam Adams, just the Haze beer, watching the little airplanes fly by. When you don't drink and you're in that kind of environment, it gives you the opportunity, right, you observe people more than you would when you were drinking yourself. And I saw a gal, and I think I texted you, like it could have been Annie Grace's story living out in real life. But also I kind of saw myself too, because in a very short period of time, sub 1 hour, probably 45 minutes, I watched a gal drink the equivalent of a bottle of wine by herself. She's on her computer, business, professional looking business lady. You wouldn't know any different, but downs her own bottle of wine and then jets. And I'm like, it wouldn't have been wine, but I easily would have drank the equivalent, right?
But how is that served to her too? I want to, because you made in
a half bottle.
Yeah. So it's served, you get one, because then you have this, and the psychology on this is, okay, so I get this smaller little bottle.
Doesn't feel like as much.
It doesn't feel like I'm drinking as much. And I consume that. I'm like, oh, well, it was just, your mind plays these tricks on you too. Like, oh, it was just this little bottle of wine.
It's like 2 airplane bottles or little bottles of booze.
So I'll have another one of those.
So I only had 2 drinks.
And in my brain always went this way. Well, I can't waste this, so I'm going to finish it because I paid for it.
But your brain will also say that's 2, or it's 2 big drinks.
Yeah. So I can see myself in those scenarios as well. I mean, and one of the things that I have had to really, really work hard on is stepping back and realizing that not everybody drank the way I drank, and not to make assumptions about somebody else's drinking.
Oh yeah.
Based on my past.
No, and my point wasn't to judge it. Well, my point is like I was that person.
Exactly.
That was what I did when I would travel. That was like, the MO. So I was like, but then I think what I mentioned to you when I came home, the thought that crossed my mind then when I was watching it from, outside looking in, was to what end, right? Like I drank a liquid, right? She's going to drink that, go get on a plane. It's like, okay, I know the mental thing that alcohol does to you, right? But it's sort of like, at the end of the day, I think what's happened to me over the time is, what has that accomplished? What have I accomplished by doing that? Nothing. I've only hurt myself by doing that, right? So it's sort of like, I think that's one thing that always comes back to me. It's like, well, what's the point? What if I do anything in my life? What's the gain? What's the risk benefit gain there? And I think doing that is like
the cost benefit analysis.
It's just I think maybe it's because I'm older. I don't know. It's just not there.
I think
to do that much.
Well, no, but that's where your addictive brain comes in. That's where your primitive brain, where the want, that want part of your brain, that the seeking pleasure, what it wants. And what it wants is, I want this substance because it makes me feel the way I want to feel.
Well, and I felt like this trip was my first true test because I haven't been on a trip in 2 years, and this was my first extended period of time away from you. So it's sort of like testing, like, am I really not doing it because I'm not doing it, or am I really not doing it just because
of me?
Because you're here, and I mean, you've never said. I mean, you said whatever. If you want, I'm not going to drink with you, and up your life insurance. But I'm like, what's?
I have not said that.
No, she knows there's plenty already.
I have not said that.
If I disappear people, you know why. But
I almost snorted coffee out my nose. I just want people to
it's like that. I think it's a country song, right? Who are you when I'm not around, kind of thing. And it's like, and I kept wondering to myself, like, am I going to get out there and just have, because you get in those old patterns, right? And it's like, well, I have that feeling like I really want to drink like I did before.
But you kept that. I think really, it sounds to me that you were very curious about this whole trip and how it would go. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, let's go in. I'm going now into whatever the Delta lounge is, and let's see what happens here. And then we're going to go out to eat, and let's see what happens here.
Right. And the funny thing is, and I still, I went to the grocery store so I could get my NA beer, which I didn't actually have to do because actually, surprisingly, the hotel, it was a bigger conference type hotel, so it had like a breakfast lounge kind of deal. They actually had NA beer in their cooler.
And isn't that amazing? Because
2 kinds even.
That in the past, I mean, it really wasn't.
Oh no,
wasn't a thing.
I was surprised to see 1, let alone 2. But I was glad that I went out and bought my own because they were $8 a piece. So they weren't giving you a deal because there was no alcohol. But
true.
So I did all the things. I had NA beer in my room, and when I'd come, in the evening, I'd have one of my NA beers or whatever. So it was sort of that back to our talk of keep the ritual, lose the alcohol. And we'd go out to dinner. It's like, no, it's like the places we went, most of them had NA drinks, and so I didn't. The closest was we went to a Mexican restaurant at Universal City Walk, and they didn't have any non-alcoholic choices. So I'm like, I'll have iced tea. And they have sweet tea, and I love sweet tea because that's what they have down south. But I'm a big sweet tea nerd anyway. Ask my dentist. But my coworker was with me. He wanted a shot of tequila because there lots of tequilas, fancy tequilas, and I liked tequila back in the day. And so he had, oh, do you want a shot? I'm like, no, I don't want a shot. But I did as a bartender. I'm like, and I've done this with some other beers and things as we've gone on. Like, I would, I just want to taste it. So I said, can I just get a taste? I don't even know how to tell you how little it was. I'm like, because they put it in a shot glass, but it was like, I would guess maybe 2 eyedroppers worth, maybe.
Well, I'm going to say, because if it's a taste and it's from a shot, a shot isn't that big.
No. It was, probably 2. It was enough to kind of wet your whistle, I guess, maybe twice. So I kind of sipped my sip. And I just wanted, I'm like, it was pretty good tequila. But it was, and again, if you talk about would that be a trigger for me, I was like, okay, man, that tasted fine. And that was what I wanted. I just wanted to taste it. I didn't want to drink it, right? And that was the joy I got from it. It's like I enjoyed the taste, but I didn't have a desire to drink a bunch of it. I just wanted, oh yeah, that tastes pretty good. Okay, cool. Move on. Go back to my sweet tea.
And that's you.
Yeah. Now I could
somebody else could be. It could be a totally different thing.
And I would admit, it's probably a risky proposition to do that I did, because I could have easily just been like, what I just said, like not knowing what I was getting myself into in this whole trip, could have easily been like, oh, that's pretty good, and been like, nobody's gonna know but me. But here's the thing, I don't know what's changed in my brain, but I'll know, right? And that means something to me now, I guess. It's like, oh well, Amy won't know. Who cares? I do. It's like, you don't care, but I will know.
And that's what's funny, because you've had different people go, oh, are you going to do this?
Oh, well, Amy.
What would Amy say?
I shouldn't offer that. Amy will get mad.
Is Amy going to get mad? No, Amy doesn't give a crap. I'm sorry. I mean, I love you. But honestly, for me now, it is, I know how good I feel now. And even on days when I wake up and I don't feel good, like just in general, because I don't feel well,
right?
I just know I would feel so much worse if I was waking up with, anxiety. And the thing that I think people should understand is it takes about, I don't know what they say, anywhere, depending on the person's body chemistry and all that, to get alcohol completely out of your system, it's like 7 days. So the effects from alcohol, say maybe you are taking a day off during the week like I was, or 2 days off during the week. You might feel better, but you're never getting back to where you could be. That's why when you take a real break.
That's why like the resets are like 20 days,
21 days, 30 days, something like that. When you really get a little bit of distance in there, you actually do get a glimpse of, oh, wow, I feel really good. And I think one of the problems that I find with the challenges, and I'm very much for them, and doing a reset and an experiment, I'm really for them because that's the only way you actually get the alcohol completely out of your system. Or if you're going to do a fast from your phone, it's the only way you really get some distance so you can get some real clarity around it. And I think the problem is so often that people who are like, oh, I'm doing dry January, they don't look at like learning from the experience. They don't look at going into
it's
a
like,
deep.
Can I do it?
It's like, I can do it. All right, I'm doing it. But the whole time they're still
waiting until January 31st.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna at the end of this is gonna be great. I'm just gonna tie one on, or
Yeah.
Or I can have it again. So it's more of a willpower. And I'm not speaking for everyone, but I just know from people I've talked to that is really kind of that mindset. And I'll tell you what, I never could do it.
No.
I never could, because I'm like, well, I know I'm not going to be able to make it. So.
Although they will, even if you don't quit, they do say, I've seen some statistics that say, even if you take that 1 month off a year, that alone, if you do nothing else, it
is good.
That is still beneficial. I think any amount of time that you take away from drinking is going to be beneficial, right?
Yes.
But I think the problem is, to your point,
there's not a mindset.
Are you doing the 30 days to try and learn about your drinking, or are you just doing it to white knuckle to prove that I can do it and now I'm going to go back to drinking? There's two different mindsets, which I think. And
sometimes, like for me, when I did that 21-day reset, I had no intention of quitting. But the program I went through, Sober Sis,
hashtag no sponsor.
Well, no, I'm saying this because hashtag maybe we'll tag her. Maybe we can get Jen to come on.
Yeah, we will be getting the guests.
I'm hoping. I'm reaching out to some different people to see if they could be a guest, and
because y'all get tired of listening to us. So,
but where was I going with this? Oh, my intention was. See, there's that ADHD brain. My intention was I was going to be able to go back to moderation, but with in my opinion, any good program, you really start to examine the why. The why are you doing this?
Well, that's what I just asked myself on the trip. Why? To what end?
And just asking the questions and being curious about your habits and why you're doing that. I mean, here we'll have confession time. On your trip,
is this whole podcast confession time?
I don't know. On your trip, one of the things, and I'm still struggling with, you still struggle with sugar and different things like that. But I haven't been to McDonald's in months. I mean, we rarely go to McDonald's. It's like, it's maybe once or twice a year now. You're gone. And I'm like, I can have McDonald's on my way home because Maggie was working. And I'm like, I'm not going to have McDonald's. So I drove away from one McDonald's. I did drive away from one McDonald's. I didn't go through. I know, doesn't this sound stupid? But this is what your mind does. So I'm going to go pick up bananas from Kroger. My dang wanting brain kicked in because I'm over by another McDonald's.
And that banana ain't going to cut it.
I did not win that one. So I went through, I got my cheeseburger and my small fries. I will say I did enjoy them, but they really weren't that good. The fries are always good. I'm never going to say that the McDonald's fries aren't good.
Until they get cold.
Yeah, but the cheeseburger,
no.
It was like, why am I eating this? And so guess what? Then I went home, and guess what I didn't get?
Sick.
Bananas. My brain like kicked into overdrive. And so I really
Screw the bananas, get these McDonald's.
I really did kind of dive into that. Like, okay, what happened there? Why did your brain hijack what you're doing? And quite honestly, it's because it was what you said. Well, Matt's not around. Maggie's not around.
What does me being around? I cleaned your car all the time as a McDonald's cup.
No, like I get the iced tea all the time.
Right.
But I mean, it was just this weird thing. It's like,
I don't care if you have McDonald's.
I know you don't. But I do. And then I went ahead and I did it. And I was like, but I didn't beat myself up about it. I said, okay, you know what are you going to learn from this? What happened there? And I was stressed from the day. And instead of the habit of getting a drink or something like that, I ended up getting that. And a lot of it is based on, I'll tell you what, visual cues are huge. If I would have gone home my normal path, I wouldn't have seen a McDonald's. I wouldn't have done that. But I had to go and run an errand.
And they make it so dang easy.
Yeah. So
next on the McDonald's Free Marriage Podcast.
Yeah. So
I'm not giving up I knew McDonald's.
No, I'm not giving it up. But I'm just saying like
I'm not saying I don't pretend it's good for me.
I don't, and I also don't want to like do this, all these absolutes. Oh, I can't have this or whatever. But so that was the other thing. It was like, all right, you had it. It's fine.
Whatever.
It was, but the other thing was, it wasn't that good.
No, it's
it
not that,
really
no.
wasn't good. I mean, it wasn't this, oh, this is going to be so good. And I'm like
you're saying, the fries and the tea are about where it ends.
Yeah, it was
and
just
the ice cream
like,
machines are always broken, so no point in getting ice cream there. So
true story.
that is so true.
Yes. Now what are we going to talk about?
I think we're going to say the last one until next week, Amy, because it's really not going to fit into our whole line of conversation.
Oh, no, I wanted to say one last thing. I wanted to... You tune that down, buddy.
Oh, apparently we're not over. Sorry. False alarm.
No. I wanted
Please come prepared next time.
I wanted to add this into this. The whole drink responsibly.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is the warning that big alcohol puts out there. So they don't have to put any real warnings on
just drink responsibly.
anything. So drink responsibly. So that's very, very vague.
Which is not bad advice, but anyway.
No, it's horrible advice. Because what does that mean?
Exactly.
What does that mean? Oh, and it puts
the
everything on you. And guess what?
Snort your Coke responsibly, kids.
I know. Drink your cigarettes responsibly.
Never
smoke your cigarettes. No, that's another one. I'll put that
go
on.
ahead.
So anyways, this whole motto. So if everyone in the United States who can drink, who's of legal age, were to actually follow the drink responsibly motto and follow the CDC guidelines.
Like we're all supposed to do nowadays.
Because we're supposed to follow the science. 80% of all alcohol sales would go away overnight.
Does that mean that everybody's not drinking responsibly?
I'm pretty sure that that's what it's saying. And when you're looking at that, then what does that mean? It's 1 or less now.
For women.
Or only 2 for men.
I mean, I only ever had 2. That's always the answer, officer. It's always 2.
It was 2. Oh, it was big 2.
Well, back to the bottle of wine thing.
There
Well,
you
I
go.
had 2. Well,
So,
they were gigantic.
I wanted to put that out there because I just want people to be self-aware. I don't honestly,
most of us
once
aren't drinking
again,
responsibly, probably.
yeah, let's just be self-aware and
Drink responsibly.
drink responsibly. And remember, they will take your money because they don't give a what
the police
about
officers will take your license and throw you in jail. Just
you. So
like our little friend here
anyways, this was exciting. And next weekend, we are going
on the road.
On the road. We are so excited.
We'll probably at least do an on-the-road video. I don't know. The podcast will probably still be here.
Yeah, well, but we will be able to give everybody an update of going to a live pop-up non-alcoholic bar.
Yes, Sounds Bar in Chicago.
Yes, so we are super excited. Can't wait. There's a book signing from one of my fellow This
We
Naked
get to
Mind
go early
coaches.
and talk to vendors and We have a VIP experience. Very
yes,
fancy.
we do. we haven't been VIP in a while.
No. Most people get VIP so they can get the alcohol, and we're going to a place that has no alcohol, and we're still VIP. But anyway.
Hey, yeah.
You know what? We should get media.
Oh, remember
Media.
the VIP experience? Got to get our shades
There you go,
on.
there you
Yeah,
go.
it's almost gonna be like Vegas, baby.
Just like Vegas. Sans alcohol. There you go, kids. All right, well, if you want to feedback to us, like our friend Heather or Les or any of the other people out there who send us notes and messages, it's feedback@afmpodcast.com. You can always like, subscribe, and comment on the podcast feeds and on the YouTubes. And if you know how to get a hold of us, text us. That'd be cool, too. I don't know, anything else there, Coach Amy?
I don't know, Unicorn. You and I need to just
Get on out of here.
get out of here.
All right, well, wishing you peace and love from the cornfields. I'm Matt, along with Coach Amy, and we are out.